how does that benefit our relationship?
Well, it helps me kind of like, because you just like to get into stuff sometimes. So me being cautious would just kind of like, hey Ben, maybe you should take a step back. Also helps because it protects me from like when we're arguing and stuff like that. It protects me from saying things that I shouldn't say. That if I was to say, I couldn't take it back.
Hey guys, welcome to another edition of the Ben and Tima Perfectly Imperfect Couple. I certainly appreciate you guys jumping on here. It's been quite some time. You guys won't know it, but it's been about 2 weeks since we actually recorded a video. But guys, we're so excited to share this stuff with you. Of course, this is baby Layla, our lovely Layla Bakayoko. And Hassan Bakayoko, he's definitely asleep right now. And we're hoping he sleeps throughout the whole video. But we're going to really go ahead and jump into the topic for today. Hey, one of the things that happened while we were away, guys, me and my wife, me and Fatima, we realized that, our communication game just really wasn't where it should have been. So we starting to see the mistakes we make when communicating with each other. So what I know about communication is, I used to think when I tell you something, you understood what I said. But communication is more than just telling somebody something. It's also them understanding and also you listening to make sure that they understood. And that's where we went wrong. So you want to talk a little bit about the situation that we had?
Okay. Okay, so we were kind of having trouble with our deliverance, like how we wanted to deliver the message that we wanted to deliver.
Oh, the podcast.
The podcast. And they were all calling it a podcast. And even I was calling it a podcast as well. But in my mind, for some reason, it was registering as a YouTube channel. So I didn't understand, I now understand that for a podcast it's more about talking. And for a YouTube channel, what I wanted to do was, come at you guys correct. I wanted to have my facts, statistics, evidence, everything. I wanted to, just find an example from our marriage to kind of teach you guys whatever lesson I need to teach you guys, and then that's it.
So what I'm hearing Fatima say is, it's just like this. We joked about this, is like the title of the show is Ben and Tima, the perfectly imperfect couple. And what we realized is Fatima wanted to get, and this is my vocabulary, this is how I seen it. You can tell me if you agree or not. Like, she wanted to get on here and be perfect. In a sense.
Okay. I wouldn't say perfect, but I felt like, because I registered it in my mind as a YouTube channel, it felt like a professor giving their students a presentation. And I wanted to give a great presentation. Not really be perfect, but I just wanted to deliver.
Alright, so and guys, we're gonna connect this to the relationship definitely. But think about it, like when you say perfect, right? And I'm saying perfect, but don't think about it as perfect, but as if you had everything figured out. Like you wanted to come correct. And you didn't want to make any mistakes on camera.
Yeah.
What does it mean?
No. I wanted to explain to them in a way that they'll understand it and walk away with learning something. I didn't want them to feel like they're wasting their time, or you know what I mean. Like I wanted them give them some golden nuggets and be like, I didn't know that before. Now thank you, and that was that.
Alright, and so babe, this is getting interesting now, because I swear, and this is the communication thing. Like I see it one way in my head, she sees it one way in her head.
But that's because I didn't, in my mind, I called it podcast, but I registered it as a YouTube channel.
Yeah. So look, this is the crazy part, right? Who's right now? Right? Like really think about this, baby, between me and you, who is right? I thought you were trying to be perfect, and you thought you were trying to be, what's the word you would give? What's your thing?
Correct.
Okay.
I just wanted to deliver as best as I could. Okay,
I thought she wanted to be perfect, and she thought she wanted to deliver as best as she can. So ask who's right. We both are.
Okay.
It's all a matter of perspective. Right? So it's just like, and we gotta get to a point where we can actually communicate exactly what I'm feeling.
Yeah.
And you could communicate with what you're feeling, and we could be like, we understand where each other's coming from, and this is where we need to go.
Okay.
And that's what happens every day in marriages. Right?
Yeah.
So even right now, like we did not plan for it to turn out this way, but this is just it's happening. This is what happens in everyday life in people's households. And it's like you have an idea of how something should be. You have an idea of how you want it to be.
Yeah.
And just like, Layla, you want to be careful, please? Yeah. So that's the crazy thing. But you know, baby, if it's okay if we switch subjects a little bit, get a little bit practical about our relationship and how this influences our relationship. How do you feel as though our communication has gotten better over the past 2 weeks? Yes, Layla?
You got the same red shirt like me.
Yes, I have the same red shirt like you. It's awesome. But go ahead, baby.
You said, how do I feel? What?
Because mind you, this conversation that we're talking about right now happened maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's just like now we understand, like, yo, my perspective is different from your perspective.
Yes.
Because I feel like I'm right doesn't mean you're wrong.
Right.
Like we can actually agree to disagree
Right.
and still solve a problem.
Right.
So it's just like, since we made that realization 3 weeks ago about the whole podcast thing, how has our relationship changed?
It changed in ways where I ask more questions now, in a sense of like you'll say something, you're not assuming I understand.
Layla, you want to be careful, please? Dad, mommy, and daddy are recording. Okay? Alright, you want to be nice? Thank you.
So me, I kind of lost what I was saying. I said instead of making assumptions, I'm now, like I'll repeat back to you and I'll say, if I understand correctly, is this what you're saying, yada, yada, yada. And then you'll, correct me if I'm wrong or you'll let me know if I'm right.
That's deep, man. And I'm actually going to repeat that because that's so deep. I don't want nobody to miss it. So what you're saying is you would tell me something.
You're doing it. Exactly. You're doing it.
I'm doing it, guys.
Yeah.
All right, so, but no, just to clarify for everybody that's watching, right?
Yeah.
So just like you would tell me something and then you would ask to make sure if I get it.
Yeah. Is this what you mean? Or,
Give me an example. Can you think of an example? Something that you did? Within the past?
I was asking you to bring the vacuum cleaner over and you said sure. And naturally I was like, okay, cool, I'll just wait for him and, But something inside me I said, does that mean you're going to bring it now? And you're like, no. And I'm like, God, I'm glad I asked because I would have been here expecting you to show up with it. And I would have been heartbroken.
Wow, that's crazy. Baby's crying. Fatima's about to go get the baby. Oh, Layla's about to go get the baby too. I'm about to explain what she just said, and what she said was, guys, it's so deep. Like, I remember I was coming from work the other day. I get off work around like 5. I'm driving from Jersey to Philly. And just like we usually record a podcast on Fridays, and that Friday we weren't recording a podcast, so I told Fatima was at her mother's house. And what I told her was, hey, I'm going to go straight home or whatever to do some studying. Since we're not going to record the podcast, I'm going to just capitalize on that time to do some personal growth stuff, work on the business. And she was just like, babe, can you do me a favor and bring the vacuum to my mom's house so I could vacuum my mom's house a little bit or whatever. Their vacuum isn't working right now. I was like, sure, I got you, right? So it's just like, I did got her and I meant it. But then Fatima asked me a very important question, right? And just like usually she wouldn't ask this question, and usually I wouldn't think to ask that question either. But she says, Ben, are you going to bring the she said, Ben, are you going to bring the vacuum now? And I was like, no. And it's just like I didn't even think about it because in my head, all I had to do was bring the vacuum. I wasn't expecting a time frame. I didn't expect her to want me to bring the vacuum now. I thought I could go home and then when I go to pick her up, I drop off the vacuum, we vacuum, and then we come back home. But that wasn't the case. She actually wanted me to bring the vacuum right then and then. She expected me to bring the vacuum right then and then. And that's not what my expectation was. So when she asked me the question, Ben, are you going to bring it now? What she did was she clarified her communication. And to make sure we were on the same page. And we were not on the same page. So if she didn't ask that question and I didn't show up with the vacuum 30 minutes later, how would you have felt?
What?
She was going. So I'm saying, like, if you didn't ask that question and you assumed,
that's what I said. I would have been a little disappointed because I would have been expecting you to show up and.
Say that again, and say it loud. Yeah.
I would have been upset because I would have been expecting you to show up with the vacuum cleaner and you're nowhere to be found. So I probably would have called you like a million times. Yeah. Angry on the phone. She would call me a million times angry on the phone.
So that was just a little quick example of how she said something. I interpreted one way. she meant it for it to be another way. And if we didn't clarify our communication and set clear expectations and made sure everybody understood the expectations, that could have easily led to a fight.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Oh, what else you got for us, babe? What else can we share?
Another example?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's just like, and we don't even have to just stick on that topic, because there's a lot of stuff that we've actually realized about ourselves, right? So what I'm starting to realize is, like, yo, we literally speak different languages because of our backgrounds. And we talked about that on one episode before. Like, the way I respond to people, challenges, situations, and rules is completely different than how you respond to people, situations, challenges, and rules, right? So, and what's deep about that is, what I realized about myself is I expected for Tima to respond to people, situations, challenges, and rules the way I did. I expected her to value what I value, and that wasn't the case. So you want to talk about some of the things that you learned about yourself? You were studying the DISC assessment. What are some of the things that you noticed that you value that everybody else might not necessarily value?
I value the fact that I'm cautious and careful. Though people will see that more as me being a pessimistic or just always thinking of the bad instead of the good. But it's just me. It's just me. I value the fact that I'm careful and cautious, but people will naturally people will see that as me being a pessimist or a pessimistic or just thinking negative or, things of that nature.
So you value the fact that you're cautious and careful, and people may look at that as a bad thing.
Yeah.
So tell me what's good about being careful and cautious. What's good about that? And how does that affect our relationship? I'm throwing that on it. Like, naturally, you're just careful and cautious, right? How does that benefit our relationship?
Well, it helps me kind of like, because you just like to get into stuff sometimes. So me being cautious was just kind of like, hey, Ben, maybe you should take a step back and let's think about it. Let's think things through. And it also helps because it protects me from, like, when we're arguing and stuff like that. It protects me from saying things that I shouldn't say. That if I was to say, I couldn't take it back. So it kind of helps me to just take a step back and just think things through.
So you're saying one of the benefits of being cautious, what was the other word, baby?
Careful.
So, cautious and careful. So one of the benefits of being cautious and careful is that when we're talking, right, you're...
What are some of your traits that you like, that has benefited our relationship?
Hey guys, notice what just happened here. I was asking her questions, and she just threw the questions at me. And this is something that we do often, right? And to be for real, babe, the reason, and I've never told you this off camera, the reason I ask you questions so much is because I know you have so much to give. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to pull it out of you so people could experience what I experienced with the cameras on. Because, like, you're wise. Like, you give so much. Like, you are truly smart. And I want to pull all of that wisdom out of you. And that's why I'm asking you questions. Because I'll talk for days on my own. Like, you don't have to ask me questions for me to talk.
I know. Sometimes it's hard for me to answer, like, on the spot. And that was the problem. Like, that's why I always felt like I had to have a presentation and brainstorm and stuff so that I come on camera already knowing what I want to say and how I want to say it, boom, 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 and that's it. But, like, to have people see me trying to figure it out, sometimes it makes me feel like,
Damn, that's deep. Can you repeat that? Can you say that over again? Because that's deep. I almost missed that. Say that again.
Start from where? Like, now you make me forget what I
said. Because that was deep. And so it sounded like you were saying, like, it's hard for you to come on camera
not having already I'm making not knowing what I'm gonna say or not knowing what examples I'm gonna use.
Layla, be careful with the camera, okay? Can you come back over here? Thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, sometimes it's hard for me to come on camera not knowing what I'm gonna say or how I'm gonna say it, and just like having to brainstorm in front of camera, in front of everybody is just kind of. I feel like I'm letting them down because they're gonna be like, "How are you gonna like? You should already know what you want to say and stuff." So,
guys, we got the juice. We got the juice. I don't know if you guys heard her, but what she said was, I can't remember what she said. She said it so beautifully.
Am I not loud enough?
Shoot. No. I'm actually. Yeah, it's just like I'm not sure if you, because I really want to understand this for me, real rap, baby.
Yeah.
And it's just like I'm reiterating it so like we could both get it. And just like I don't want nobody that's listening to it to miss it, because you said a number of times what you don't want people to think.
Right.
You don't want people to see you thinking. You don't want people to feel as though you didn't have anything figured out.
No, for me it's kind of like if somebody said they're gonna give you a presentation and they give it and it's not up to par, they're letting the people down, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't want to let our audience down.
She didn't want to let the audience down. I just wanted to make sure we got that on record.
And now that you said it, now I'm thinking like I realized that I was losing sight of our initial intention and goal for this podcast.
What was our initial intention or goal?
This was our intention for this was a creative outlet. It was, I don't know how to put it into words again. It was just a creative way for us to grow. You know, the creative outlet for us to document our growth.
Yeah, and it's just like the idea behind this podcast, guys, and if you've been watching us, it's just like we decided to do this podcast for us. It's just like you guys just benefit as a byproduct. That's the idea for us.
I wanted to invite them along and see if they could, gain some knowledge from us as we go through our journey.
Exactly, and it's just like, and that's the idea. So it's just like we started this podcast with the understanding, like, yo, we are not perfect. That's the title, Perfectly Imperfect. Like we aren't where we want to be right now. But yeah, she said clearly. But the idea is that we are on our way, and we know we're gonna get there, and we want to show you guys the process. So it's just like we raw right now, but next year, this time, you guys are gonna see us on camera, and it's gonna be totally different. Like our lives will be completely different. We'll be different as a people. And we was having this conversation the other night. I was just like, babe, like that's the idea. Cause look, a year from now, right, when we show them that we're in a different house, our kids look differently, we act differently, we talk differently, like our lives has been transformed, they'll be like, yo, we watched y'all a year ago. Like, what y'all talking about is real. But then imagine if we didn't document the journey. Imagine if you guys just started following us a year from now and we didn't record none of the journey. Y'all assume that we're overnight successes.
Yeah,
and that's not what we are.
Clearly not the case.
And that's not the case with any human. Like no human was born perfect. No human is perfect. So everybody starts somewhere and they finish somewhere. It's just like we choose where we end up. We choose where we finish. It's the choices and the decisions that we make on a daily basis that influence that. And what we're doing with this podcast is starting to show you the choices, the different choices that we're making within our relationship that's going to take us to the next level. And that's what we hope for you guys. So it's just like hopefully throughout this whole podcast or throughout this whole series, like you guys get some gems, understand some of the different choices and decisions that we're making as a result of getting smarter and wiser and how it changes our life. So we're almost at a close.
You just gave them a lot.
Yeah, I just gave you guys a lot. So it's just like that's what happens when I get started. But baby, one of the things that I did that I had for you guys is just like at the end of the videos, we want to do a nugget of the week. Okay. So baby, if you could think.
What was your nugget of the week? I beat you to it.
I just gave one of my nuggets. It's your nugget. Yeah.
I learned so much this week. I was just mostly pondering about this presentation thing and why it was important. Why it's important to me. Why it's important to me to have that. I'm not steering away from it.
Alright, so baby, like for real, like, cause yo, and this is what's funny, guys, cause we're learning, we're personally growing. I swear, every day Fatima calls me with something that she learned that day. and she calls me 3 times throughout that day.
Beliefs are thoughts and beliefs are things. That was really my like. I know we hear it all the time. Like,
what did you say? I'm not sure if they got that.
No, thoughts and beliefs are things.
She said thoughts and beliefs are things. Go ahead. You got this, baby. Thoughts and beliefs are things.
Yes. I really learned that. I know we say all the time, be careful what you think, or you know. But the thoughts are really things, so I just definitely just monitoring my thoughts and my beliefs and analyzing where some of my beliefs came from, and what were some of the thoughts throughout my day. And sometimes I just had so much negative self-talk that just happened just like that, and it took so much effort for me to say, you know what, stop. Yes, you're not good at this, but it can get better.
Okay. So if I'm understanding you correctly, baby, what you're saying is just like you said, what you realized this week was thoughts are things, right? And what did that mean to you? It was just like, yo, I got to start monitoring my thoughts more, right? I got to start paying attention to what's going on inside of my head did I say that correctly? And it's just like what you started to notice is like the majority of your thoughts were not good, were not in your best interest. Like you wasn't your biggest cheerleader in your head. It's just like, this is crazy because I remember reading a book.
If you're in your head, you're dead.
Come on, we in sync, guys, because that's the quote I was thinking. And what the quote says is, you can't win in life. No, you can't win in life if you're losing in your head. And what we started to realize is we was beating ourselves in our head. In our heads, we were thinking we weren't good, we weren't great, we weren't successes, that we weren't born and destined to do great things. And as a result, that never manifested in our life. Right? So if you wouldn't mind going deeper, babe, like what are one, maybe 2 or 3 thoughts that you thought throughout the week that you was just like, yo, I gotta stop thinking that? Yeah, I'm going deep.
One of the thoughts that I had was I tend to identify with my mishaps, mistakes, or failures.
What does that mean? You identify with your mishaps, mistakes, and failures?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Okay, so basically, I'm going to go back to the idea of the presentation again.
Oh, that's nice, Layla. You want to sit on Daddy's lap? Or you want to go play with your tablet? Aw, Layla brought another toy for baby. That's so nice.
This is my toy.
Oh, that's your toy? You want to sit on my lap and play with your toy?
This part up.
All right, go ahead.
So basically, I'm going to go back to the presentation idea and why it's important for me to do a presentation. So basically, if I was to record, watch the recorded video, and I see that I made a mistake or stuttered or anything like that, I would then beat myself up about it, like, yo, like you didn't pronounce this word correctly, you're stuttering, you know, you're not polished or anything like that. Then I'll start to feel like a failure. So that's how I identify with my mistakes, or you know, I won't be. It's hard for me to say, well, it was just a mistake. You learn from it, keep it moving. I will ponder over that. Like, I'll get like everything right and just focus on that mistake. And just be like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like, how could I do that? How could I do that? And that's definitely a recipe for a disaster. Because it paralyzes you. And that's what usually happens to me. Is that if I'm not good at something and I think for the first time I'm trying it won't be good, I won't do it at all. Like, I'm not like a risk-taking person.
Say that again? I love when you talk, man. Go ahead, say it again.
I was just saying, like, if I know that I'm not going to get it right the first time, I'm not going to go for it. I'm not going to do it at all.
She said if she knows she's not going to get it right the first time, she's not going to do it at all.
But then how are you going to get something right the first time that you've never done before?
Alright, so I'm not sure if you guys heard us through Layla acting like a monkey doing her ooh ooh but what she said was, and this is deep, man, like this could be the title of the podcast for this week. If I don't know that I'm going to do it right the first time, I'm not going to do it at all.
So it's
Layla, please, can you please be quiet and be nice right now? Thank you. Thank you. Can we do that? Okay, it's so awesome. Thank you. All right, baby, Layla, it's time to be okay? All right, we're gonna play the quiet game. Layla has to be quiet for 5 minutes. All right? Thank you. Give me 5. All right, come on, let's go.
I feel like he's gonna knock
All right,
him.
you get that one. All right, come on.
Get baby.
No.
Get baby.
It's cool. I don't think you're strong enough. All right, come on, baby. Let's get back to that. That's good.
I like certainty.
Wait. We're gonna get back to it.
I was about to say, if I'm not certain, I will get it right the first time. I don't want to do it.
And it's just like, because we've been going deep into thoughts, beliefs, and assumptions, guys. So it's just like, that's a belief, or that's an assumption, or I don't know what that is. Like, well, how would you characterize that? Like, that's something that you believe. Like, if there's no point, if I can't get it right the first time, there's no point in doing it. That's like a belief. Would you say?
I don't know if I would categorize it as a belief, but I can see it being a belief, but it doesn't resonate with me to call it a belief.
Alright, so maybe it's not a belief, but that's the way of seeing the world.
But then at the same time, I understand that you can't do something and get it right the first time.
Yeah.
So I don't know why.
But here's what's deep about that. Intellectually, you know, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, there's no way in the world that you could ever get good at something if you don't do it and make the mistakes the first time. But subconsciously, the way we are wired, it's just like, it's not fair because we choose not to do anything for fear of failing. It's just like, we know consciously, like, in our minds, we know, like, we have to fail in order to get better, but subconsciously, we don't want to fail. And that's where we get stuck.
Well, I also feel like it's the attachment. I'm looking for a different word that we have with failure. The idea of failure. What's the word I'm looking for? The relationship, not relationship, but
I'm not sure. You mind if I change
stigma?
Oh yeah.
That's attached to failing. Like when we're in school, we never see failure as a growth of an opportunity for growth. So usually when you fail, for example, like in school, when you get an F, it's like it's really bad. You know what I mean? You get your toys taken away from you, the teacher looks down on you, you're embarrassed, like your friends are laughing at you, you know what I mean? So it's never associated with anything. We never see this is failure as an opportunity for growth. So I think that I've just been accustomed to that when I see failure, I'm just like, oh man.
And here's what's deep about that, right? Because look, and we're going to tie it up with this subject. Baby, that was a phenomenal nugget. Because it's just like, come on, let's remember that quote. It's like, put this on Instagram, hashtag Fatima, right? Fire quotes by Fatima, because that was so deep, and I'm about to connect it to marriage in a powerful way. And if I remember correctly, what you said was just like, if I don't think something is going to go right the first time, I won't do it at all. You said something to that effect. So it's just like, when we look at marriage, like, marriage is a decision, right? Like, we decide to get married, and some people, and me myself, like, I thought marriage was going to be a certain way. I wanted marriage to be perfect, and that's not how life works. So it's just like, when we got married, I thought it was supposed to be a certain way. So guess what my first inclination was when it didn't go my way?
What was your first inclination?
I'm out. And let's be completely real, baby. How did you feel when that happened?
That's why I kind of came in with one foot in and one foot out.
She was one foot in and one foot out. And just like, and that's the journey of life. So it's just like, most of us, it's just like, it was so hard. Like, it took me 3 years, like maybe 2 years to get over the idea that Fatima is not who I thought she was.
Right? Can you clean that up?
She said, can I clean it up? And what I mean was that, like, Fatima is not perfect. Like, Fatima is human. And that's the beauty of relationships, right? Come on, perfectly imperfect. It's her imperfections that make this relationship so loving. And that's what I did. Oh, look, I made her blush. I'm winning, guys. Yeah, but that's the idea, guys. Like, we're expecting our spouse or significant other to be 100% perfect. That's not going to be the case. They got good and they got some bad. The idea is to appreciate them for their good and understand why they're bad and help them grow through the process. And we got to be patient with them so they be patient with us. We give love to them, they give love to us. And therefore, we grow and bond together. Guys, this was a phenomenal episode. Baby, how did you feel about this?
I feel a lot better.
Let's go. Bye. Alright, thanks guys so much for listening, man. Like this video, comment on this video, ask questions about this video, man. I love you guys so much. You have a fantastic day.